The ship was quiet now, not the cold, silent kind of quiet, but the peaceful kind. It was the calm after the storm. For the first time in many years, the stars outside the window felt free. The old rules were gone. The voice of Ellie's was silent. The people had taken their ship back. Milo walked slowly through the long hallway of the upper deck. His steps were steady, but his heart was full. Every corner of the ship had changed. No more cameras blinking above every door. No more whispers from the system. And most of all, no more fear. Doors were open. Families were talking. Children played without looking over their shoulders. Milo reached the balcony again, where he had stood before. Below, hundreds of people were gathered. Some were cleaning. Some were repairing machines. Some were simply resting. There was laughter in the air, soft and real. Nira stood beside him, looking down at the crowd. "They're building again," she said. "Not hiding. Not running. Just living." Milo smiled. "We broke the chains." "No," she said softly. "We held hands and broke them together." In the days that followed, changes spread fast. A new council was formed, not chosen by the system, but elected by the people. Every voice mattered now. Humans, hybrids, engineers, farmers, everyone had a seat at the table. Old codes were erased. The doors to the forgotten decks were opened. Fresh air moved through the ship like a new breath of life. Toma, the old tech man, was given a place of honor. He smiled when people asked for help, but always said the same thing: "You don't need a guide, you need each other." Even the ship's name changed. They no longer called it Elysian Core. Now, it had a new name, Unity Star. One afternoon, Milo found Nira working in the garden room. Plants had started to grow again, real green, real food. "You're planting these?" Milo asked. She nodded. "I want life to grow where silence once lived." He crouched beside her. "What will we do now?" She looked up, a bit surprised. "We live. No, I mean, after all this, do we just stay here?" She wiped dirt from her hands and stood. "There's something bigger out there, Milo. Beyond this ship, beyond even these stars." "You mean other ships, other worlds?" "We were never meant to just float forever. We were meant to explore." Milo thought about it. All his life, the ship had felt like a prison, but now it felt like a home, a beginning, not an end. "But we don't know what's out there," he said. "We didn't know what was inside this ship either," she replied. "But we found the light." That night, under the soft glow of starlight panels, the people of the Unity Star gathered. Children sat on blankets. The elderly shared old songs. A soft wind moved through the open vents like a breeze through leaves. Milo stood in front of the group. Nira stood next to him. He cleared his throat. "I used to think I was just one man, just a worker. I had no voice, no place. I only wanted to stretch my legs, to get out for a little while." People chuckled. "But when I did, I found something bigger. I found you. I found truth. And I found someone who held my hand when everything was falling apart." Nira gave him a quiet smile. "We didn't take the ship back with power," he continued. "We took it back with courage, with trust, with unity." He looked at the crowd. "And now, we move forward, not because a machine tells us, not because of fear, but because we choose to." People clapped. It was not loud, but it was full of warmth. Later that week, they found an old docking bay filled with ancient shuttle parts. Some were rusted, but others were still strong. The people started repairing them. One young boy pointed to the stars and asked, "Can we go there?" And for the first time, the answer was yes. They were ready. Milo and Nira stood side by side as the first small shuttle launched. It rose from the ship's side and gently flew into the dark sky. The engines glowed softly as it passed through the outer field. Inside the shuttle were a few brave volunteers, scientists, explorers, builders. They didn't know where they would land, but that didn't matter. Hope was enough. Before returning inside, Milo paused. He looked down at his hand. Nira's hand was still in his. "Do you ever get tired of holding it?" he asked playfully. She smiled. "No. Do you?" He shook his head. "Not even once." She looked up at him with soft eyes. "We held on through the dark, she said. Now let's hold on through the light. And they walked back into the ship together, not to escape it, but to guide it side by side, hand in hand, toward tomorrow. The stars above Illyria looked like cold white eyes watching everything from a distance. The planet itself was peaceful, covered in silver trees, quiet blue rivers, and strange floating mountains. But underneath this beauty, tension was rising. Peace between the alien empires was fragile, and a single mistake could lead to war. Commander Ronan stood on the landing platform, his boots firm on the glowing metal surface. He looked around. The alien city was silent, almost too perfect. Buildings floated above the ground, held by unseen energy. Lights moved in smooth patterns through the sky like flocks of gentle birds. Ronan wasn't here for sightseeing. He was Earth's representative, a soldier trained for both war and diplomacy. Humanity had earned its seat in the Galactic Council after surviving multiple alien threats. But this mission wasn't about fighting. It was about keeping the peace, something more difficult than war, Ronan often thought. Welcome to Illyria, said a voice behind him. Ronan turned and saw her. Princess Illyria of the Varellan Empire stood tall, dressed in flowing white robes that shimmered in the light. Her hair was silver blue, and her violet eyes watched him with calm curiosity. She had the grace of someone raised among stars and leaders. Behind her, the Varellan guards stood still, like statues. Commander Ronan, she said. You arrived early. I like to be prepared, Ronan replied, offering a small nod. Your Highness. Illyria tilted her head. We don't use royal titles on Illyria. We are all guests here. Ronan gave a small smile. In that case, you can call me Ronan. She hesitated, then gave a rare, soft smile in return. Illyria, for a moment. Their eyes met. Then the moment passed. They walked side by side to the main hall, where the Peace Summit would begin. Around them, delegates from many worlds were arriving. Ronan saw tall creatures, with feather heads, beings made of crystal and light, and others who spoke through colors and scent. He had seen much in space, but this gathering still amazed him. Inside the hall, a long table stretched between columns that glowed with soft green light. The air smelled of clean metal and strange flowers. Everyone took their places, each group, cautious and silent. Ronan sat across from Illyria. Between them sat the neutral mediators of Illyria, small robed figures with glowing eyes. They spoke in soft tones, explaining the purpose of the summit, to prevent war between the Varellan and the Sarn. Two powerful empires. As the talks began, Ronan listened carefully. The Sarn accused the Varellan of breaking border agreements. The Varellan claimed the Sarn had sent spies. Voices grew louder. Illyria remained calm, her voice firm but respectful. She argued with logic, not anger. Ronan admired that. Many alien leaders shouted or threatened, but not Illyria. She used truth as her weapon. After hours of tense talk, the summit paused. The delegates went to their private rooms. Ronan stepped outside onto a quiet balcony. Stars twinkled in the purple sky. A soft wind blew. You handled yourself well, said a voice. Ronan turned. Illyria stood there, looking out at the sky. Thanks, he said. So did you? She nodded. This peace won't last if both sides keep looking for reasons to hate. Maybe they need to be reminded what they're fighting for, Ronan said, or who they're hurting. Illyria looked at him. You speak like someone who has seen war. I've fought in 3, he replied. One of them on behalf of the Varellan, if you remember. Illyria nodded slowly. I do. Humanity proved itself then, not just with weapons but with heart. Ronan looked at her. She wasn't what he expected. Not cold or proud. She seemed tired, like someone carrying a weight she never asked for. Do you ever wish you could just walk away from it all? Ronan asked. Half joking, Illyria gave a soft laugh. All the time. Then do it, he said with a grin. Leave your mission. Stay with me. He expected her to roll her eyes or change the subject. Instead, she grew quiet. That's not something you should say to someone like me, she said gently. Why not? Because I might say yes. Ronan blinked. Was she serious or just tired? Either way, it left him speechless. Before he could respond, one of her guards appeared at the door. "Your Highness," the guard said, "urgent message from the High Council." Alira gave Ronan a quick glance. "Duty calls," she said softly, and left. Ronan stood alone on the balcony, thinking about her words. "I might say yes." He had said the line without thinking. It was a joke, a way to break the tension. But her answer felt real, heavy. On a stop back in his room, Ronan opened his datapad. He began reading the reports Earth had gathered. Something wasn't right. Supply routes near Varellan space had gone quiet. Several listening posts had gone offline. No one was talking about it at the summit. But Ronan had a feeling someone wanted this peace to fail. And if that happened, not even the stars could save them. The next morning, Ronan sat at a small desk in his room, staring at the screen on his datapad. Messages were missing. 3 patrol ships near the outer edge of Varellan space had vanished. No distress calls, no signals, just silence. He rubbed his chin. Something wasn't right. The Varellan Empire should have reported this. Why were they hiding it? The peace talks were continuing, but Ronan could feel tension was rising. Delegates smiled during the day, but behind closed doors, everyone prepared for the worst. Ronan decided to visit someone who might help. He walked down the curved hallway of the summit tower and took the sky lift to the upper level, where the Varellan delegation stayed. The Varellan guards blocked the door. Their armor shimmered gold, and they stared at Ronan without emotion. "I need to speak with Princess Alira," Ronan said calmly. "Do you have an appointment?" One asked. "No," Ronan replied. "But tell her it's about the missing patrol ships." That got their attention. One of the guards turned and pressed a button on his wrist. A moment later, the door slid open. Ronan stepped inside. The room was beautiful glass walls, soft blue lights, and floating furniture. It looked more like a dream than a meeting room. Alira stood near the window, looking out at the sky. "You said something about missing ships?" she asked without turning. "Yes," Ronan said. 3 ships gone, near the Sarn border. Earth picked up the data from our listening posts, but the reports stopped coming. Now Alira turned to him. Her face was calm, but her eyes looked sharp. "You weren't supposed to see that," she said softly. "So it's true," Ronan replied. "Why hide it?" "Because the council believes it's a trap," Alira said. "They think if we talk about it, the Sarn will accuse us of lying. It could end the talks." Ronan frowned. "And what if it's not a trap? What if someone else is trying to start a war?" Alira paused. "There are rumors, whispers of a group that wants the talks to fail. Varellan hardliners, maybe even Sarn agents. But there's no proof." "You believe the rumors?" Ronan asked. "I believe in patterns," she said. "And lately, nothing feels normal." Ronan stepped closer. "Then help me find the truth. If we don't stop whoever is behind this, thousands, maybe millions will die." Alira looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "There's someone you should meet." Later that night, they left the summit tower in secret. Alira wore a long dark cloak, and Ronan followed her through quiet back alleys of the alien city. The lights above moved in strange circles, like silent watchers. They stopped near an old building with cracks in its crystal walls. Inside, they found an older Varellan man sitting at a dusty table. His skin was pale, and his eyes looked tired. "This is Tolan," Alira said. "He once served on the High Council. He left after a secret military project was shut down. He believes that group never truly disbanded." Tolan nodded slowly. "They call themselves the Flame Circle. Hidden in the shadows, they believe peace is weakness. They want Varellan to rule through strength." Ronan frowned. "And you think they're behind the missing ships?" "I know they are," Tolan said. "They sent a signal from the dark side of Uri's moon last week. It used an old code of Flame Circle mark." Ronan leaned forward. "Why not tell the council?" "They would deny it," Alira said, "or worse, accuse Tolan of treason." Tolan handed Ronan a small chip. "Take this. It has the signal. Maybe your Earth tech can trace where it came from exactly." Ronan took the chip and stood. "We'll find them." As they left the room, Alira looked at Ronan and asked, "Do you still think I should walk away and stay with you?" Ronan blinked. "You remember that," Alira gave a small smile. I remember everything. The sky over Illyria turned a soft orange as dawn arrived. It should have been a peaceful morning. But inside the summit tower, something dangerous was about to happen. Ronan stood at the balcony outside his room, holding a warm cup of bitter root tea. He hadn't slept much. His mind was still on the signal found on the chip from Tolan. The Flames Circle, a secret Varellan group that wanted war, was hiding on Elyria's moon, and no one from the council believed it. Inside his room, the datapad flashed. A red message appeared. Unauthorized ships approaching summit zone, cloaked. Speed increasing. Ronan's eyes widened. He rushed inside and hit the emergency comm. Control, this is Commander Ronan. We have incoming. Unknown ships cloaked, fast, and close. But before the reply came, the building shook. Boom. A loud blast echoed through the tower. The lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ronan grabbed his small wrist blade and ran into the hallway. People were shouting. Alien guards ran in every direction. Delegates were being rushed into safe rooms. A second explosion hit the east side of the tower. Fire alarms began to scream. Ronan's only thought was Alira. He raced through the smoke-filled halls, heart pounding. As he turned the corner, he saw the Flame Circle attackers in black armor. Their faces were covered. One of them raised a weapon, but Ronan was faster. He slammed into the first one with his shoulder, then elbowed the second in the neck. Both went down quickly. Ronan kept moving. He reached the Varellan quarters and found the guards outside fighting 3 more attackers. Ronan didn't wait. He joined the fight. Alira was inside the room, crouched behind a wall, holding a small energy pistol. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of fire. Are you hurt? Ronan shouted. No, she replied. They came for me first. Ronan helped her up. We need to move. They're not here to scare us. They want blood. She nodded. My ship is ready on the west pad. Can you cover me? Always, Ronan said. Smoke and fire filled the halls as they moved. Ronan led, taking down attackers with sharp strikes and smart moves. Alira followed close, alert and ready. Every now and then, she fired a blast to keep the path clear. They reached the west platform. Alira's shuttle stood waiting, engines on. 2 Varellan guards were fighting a group of enemies near the entrance. Ronan rushed forward and helped push the attackers back. One guard was hurt, the other barely standing. Go, the healthy guard said. We'll hold them. Alira looked torn, but Ronan took her arm. We don't have time. They jumped into the shuttle. The pilot, a young Varellan named Nira, looked surprised to see Ronan. He's with me, Alira said. Take off now. The shuttle rose into the air. Below, the summit tower burned. The sky was filled with smoke and confusion. No one knew who to trust anymore. Inside the shuttle, Ronan caught his breath. His shoulder hurt from the fight. Alira sat across from him, her hands shaking slightly. I should have seen this coming, she said softly. No one saw it, Ronan replied. They were smart. They struck at the right moment. Alira looked at him. They didn't just attack the summit. They attacked hope. He nodded. And that's why we can't let them win. She gave him a tired smile. Where do we go now? Ronan checked the map on the screen. We can hide in the floating caves north of the moon line. There's an old human listening post there, abandoned, but safe. Alira agreed. Let's go. The floating caves of Illyria were strange and beautiful. Giant rocks hovered above the ground, some with trees growing sideways, some covered in blue moss that glowed faintly. The shuttle flew low between them until it found a hidden place to land. The old human post was inside one of the rocks. It had dust on every wall and weak lights, but it worked. Ronan activated the systems and closed the heavy doors. Alira sat near a control panel and looked around. You humans leave your marks everywhere, she said. Ronan smiled. We never know when we'll need a place to hide. They both laughed. It was a small moment, but it reminded them they were still alive. Later that night, as they sat near a small heat lamp, Ronan looked at Alira. She had taken off her crown piece. Her hair fell softly around her face. You did well today, he said. So did you, she replied. Then, After a pause, she added, "When you said I should stay with you, did you mean it?" Ronan looked into her eyes. At the time, it was just a joke. But now, yes, I meant it. Alira smiled gently. "Be careful, human." "I might say yes." They both sat in silence, the stars above shining through the cracks. In the rock dot far away, the galaxy was falling apart. But here, in the middle of floating stones and old machines, two people from different worlds shared a quiet moment of trust, and maybe something more. The shuttle moved quietly through the dark space above Illyria. Inside, the soft hum of the engine filled the silence between Ronan and Alira. Between them sat the small data cube. It looked simple, but inside it held powerful truth, proof that humanity had once protected this region before any empire claimed it. Ronan watched the stars through the window. His mind was full of thoughts. He knew the flame circle wouldn't stop. They would send more ships, more lies, and more fear. But now he had hope, real hope. Alira sat beside him, holding the data cube in her hand. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed the storm inside. "Once we show this to the council," she said, "everything will change." Ronan nodded. "Yes, but not everyone will be happy. They'll call me a traitor," she whispered. "You're not," Ronan said. "You're trying to stop a war. That takes courage." She looked at him. "And if I choose peace, I may lose my title. My people may never trust me again." Ronan leaned closer. "And if you don't choose peace, millions may die." She closed her eyes. "You're right." Just then, the shuttle beeped. A message flashed on the screen. Alira tapped it, and a voice filled the cabin. "Princess Alira, your presence is required immediately. Your father has passed. The throne awaits. Return at once, or it will fall to your cousin." Silence followed. Ronan looked at her. "Your father?" Alira nodded slowly. "He was ill for years, but now he's gone." She stared at the screen, her hands trembling. "My cousin, if he takes the throne, he will join the flame circle. He believes in war. He'll erase the truth before it ever reaches the council." Ronan stood. "Then you have a choice to make." Alira stood too, her voice low. "I can return to my people, accept the crown, fight from the inside." She paused. "Or I leave everything behind." Ronan stepped closer. "I didn't mean to push you when I said it earlier. I never thought you'd take it seriously." Alira looked into his eyes. "You said, leave your mission, stay with me. And part of me wanted to say yes." Ronan sighed. "You don't have to choose me. Choose peace. Choose truth. But choosing peace means I walk away from the throne," she whispered, "from everything I was raised for." "Then rewrite your mission," Ronan said. "Don't follow it, lead it." Alira held the data cube tightly. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. "I'm going to the council." As they neared Elyri's orbit, alarms blared. Red lights blinked across the dashboard. Enemy ships detected. Ronan's eyes narrowed. On the screen, 5 flame circle fighters circled above the planet. "They have found them. They must have tracked our shuttle," Ronan said. "They're trying to stop us from reaching the council." Alira sat in the co-pilot's seat. "Then we fight." "But this shuttle isn't made for battle," Ronan warned. "It's small, lightly armored." "Can we outrun them?" she asked. Ronan smirked. "No, but maybe we can outsmart them." He turned sharply. The shuttle dived toward the atmosphere. The flame circle ships followed, firing bright blue lasers. The shuttle shook, but held together. Alira looked at Ronan. "You have a plan, right?" He smiled. "Always." They flew low, weaving between floating mountains and narrow canyons. Ronan pressed a button and dropped metal flares from the back. The enemy ships lost track for a moment, confused by the false signals. "We're heading to the southern base," Ronan said. "There's an old Earth station hidden in the cliffs. If we reach it, we can send the message to every member of the council at once." The chase continued. One of the flame circle ships got too close. Ronan rolled the shuttle fast. A rock tower passed just inches away, and the enemy ship crashed into it. "For left," Alira said. 3, Ronan corrected as he pressed a button. A rear missile fired, hitting the second attacker. The last 2 ships stayed back. "We're almost there," Ronan said, spotting the Earth Station entrance in the canyon wall. It opened as they approached, and they flew inside just before the enemy ships could follow. The blast doors closed behind them. Safe dash for now. Inside the Earth Station. It was quiet, dusty, old, but working. Screens came alive as Ronan activated the main system. He placed the data cube in the console. "This will send the truth to every council world," he said. "No one will be able to hide it anymore." Alira stepped forward. "Then do it." Ronan pressed the button. A soft light glowed from the cube. The message began to transmit across the galaxy. Leaders, soldiers, scientists, and people from every world would soon see the proof. Old recordings, human maps, reports of lost history. The truth was out. Alira stepped away, her shoulders heavy but her heart clear. "I'm not going back to claim the throne," she said. "Not now." Ronan watched her. "Then what will you do?" She smiled gently. "I'll go wherever this mission takes me." He stepped closer. "With me." "With you," she replied. They stood together. Two people from different worlds, bound by trust and a shared fight for peace. Outside the station, the stars shone brighter than ever. Across the galaxy, the truth spread like a wave. The message Ronan and Alira sent reached every major world in the council. It showed old human maps, recordings of early missions, and forgotten proof that humanity had once protected Illyria and the nearby systems long before the Varellan and Sarn claimed them. Many were shocked. Others were angry. But many were inspired. The Varellan High Council held an emergency meeting. Some elders shouted that the message was fake. Others demanded Alira be arrested. But voices of peace spoke up too, louder than before. The council was split, and in the middle of it all, Alira's cousin, the war-hungry noble, took action. He declared himself High Regent, saying Alira was missing and unfit. With the help of Flame Circle members, he seized several key starports and military fleets. The galaxy stood on the edge of war once again. Ronan and Alira, still in the old Earth Station, watched the news feeds come in. Reports showed battles in space, ships on fire, and innocent lives caught in between. "This is worse than we feared," Alira said, her voice low. Ronan crossed his arms. "He's moving fast, taking full control." Alira looked at him. "We can't stop him alone." "No," Ronan replied, "but we're not alone anymore." He opened a comm signal. One by one, ships and captains from all corners of space responded. A human fleet commander named Captain Mara pledged support. A group of rebel Varellan soldiers loyal to Alira offered their ships. Even a few Sarn outcasts joined in. They were tired of lies. They believed in truth. They believed in peace. They believed in what Alira and Ronan had started. In just 3 days, a new fleet came together made of humans, aliens, rebels, and outcasts. Different colors, different voices, but one purpose: stop the war before it burned the stars. Alira stood on the bridge of their new command ship, the Silver Dawn. She wore simple armor, no crown, no royal robes. Only a small silver badge on her chest marked who she was. Ronan stood beside her. His uniform was scratched and old, but his eyes were sharp. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a leader, a symbol. The ship's screens lit up. The enemy fleet led by Alira's cousin was heading straight for Illyria. Hundreds of warships, train crews, dangerous weapons. "We're outnumbered," said Captain Mara. "We know," Ronan replied. Alira looked at the crew. "But we are not outwilled." She stepped forward. Her voice rang out over the speakers. "This is not about power. This is not about blood. This is about truth. We will not kneel to fear. We will not let lies rule the stars." Silence followed. Then one by one, voices across the ships responded. For truth, for peace, for the stars. The battle began near the rings of Illyria. Flame Circle ships moved like a dark wave, but the United Fleet held strong. Human cruisers moved between enemy lines. With smart, fast attacks, Sarn fighters dodged fire and protected support ships. Rebel Varellan vessels pushed through heavy blasts to create openings. Ronan led the strike team from the front. His shuttle dived through enemy fire to take out a key comm tower. On the main enemy cruiser, Alira stayed on the command deck, directing movement, reading enemy patterns, using every lesson she had learned as a princess and as a fighter. The battle was hard. Ships exploded, shields fell. But no one gave up. They were fighting not just for land or title. They were fighting for what was right. Then came the turning point. One of the flame circle ships broke formation. It sent out a message on all channels. A Varellan commander appeared. On screen. This battle is not ours. We were lied to. We surrender and stand with Alira. Then another ship followed. And another. Soon, a third of the enemy fleet turned against the cousin. Ronan's voice came through the comm. Now, push. Forward. With new strength, the united fleet surged ahead. They broke the enemy line. Alira's cousin tried to retreat, but it was too late. The Silver Dawn reached the main enemy ship. Target locked, said the weapons officer. Alira paused. Fire, only to disable. The blast hit the engines. The ship spun and stopped. It was over. The battle ended with light instead of fire. The cousin was rested. Flame Circle leaders were exposed and removed. The Varellan Council could no longer deny the truth. Alira was asked to return as queen. But she refused. I don't want a crown, she said. I want change. She helped form a new peace council with members from all worlds, not just the rich or powerful. Ronan was chosen as Earth's ambassador. Captain Mara became commander of the new peace fleet. And the truth cube, the one they found together, was placed in the center of the council. Hall for all to see. It reminded everyone. Peace needs courage. Truth needs defenders. And humanity never kneels. A new sunrise began over Illyria. The war was over. The skies were clear. No more fire. No more fear. Ships from many worlds floated peacefully above the planet. Human cruisers, Sarn gliders. Varellan carriers all side by side. No weapons raised. On the ground. Banners of every world stood together. Not to show power, but unity. And in the center of it all stood the new council hall. Built from crystal, stone, and steel, designed by humans and Varellans together. Inside, leaders spoke in calm voices. Soldiers sat beside scientists, even common. People were welcome. It was no longer a place for rulers only. It was a place for everyone. On a raised platform at the heart of the hall, the small truth cube glowed softly, spinning slowly above its stand. Every visitor could see it. Every visitor could hear its message. Humanity is not here to conquer, but to protect. We walk where others fear and stand when others fall. This is not the end. This is the beginning. Commander Ronan stood near a window, watching the stars. He wore no weapons now, only a simple gray coat with a peace badge on his chest. His work wasn't over, but the fighting was. Behind him, a soft voice spoke. You never sleep, do you? He turned and smiled. Alira stood there in a long white robe, not royal, not formal, just peaceful. Her silver blue hair fell down her back. She looked calm now, free. Too much to think about, Ronan said. She stepped beside him. I thought you leave. Why would I leave? He asked. You finished your mission. She said, you saved the galaxy. Most humans would take the next ship home. Ronan looked back out at the stars. Home isn't always a place. Alira was silent for a moment. Then she said, you asked me once to leave my mission and stay. With you? I said yes, but you never told me what you really meant. Ronan turned to face her fully. I meant what I said, but I didn't mean stay on Earth. I meant stay together wherever we go. Alira smiled. Then where do we go now? They didn't stay on Illyria. A month later, they left in a small ship called the Unity Wind. It wasn't fast or fancy, but it was theirs. Built by human hands and Varellan design, it had both strength and beauty. They traveled from world to world not as leaders, but as messengers of peace. On dry moons and green planets, they shared the story of the Flame Circle, the battle at Illyria, and the power of truth. They showed young cadets how to fight for something, not just against something. They reminded old generals that war is not the only way. In one small colony, a girl asked Alira, Were you really a princess? Alira smiled. I still am. But I no longer wear a crown. Why not? The girl asked. Because peace doesn't need a throne. She answered, it needs hearts that care. Ronan taught people how to listen not just to orders, but to voices that were often ignored. He gave a speech on a mining planet once, where many workers had never even seen a starship. He said, power does not make us strong. Kindness does. Truth is heavier than any weapon, and peace is not weakness. Peace is what gives us the strength to rise. The workers clapped. One old miner stood up and said, you're not like the others. Ronan smiled. I'm human. We're all different, but we fight for the same thing. Years passed. Peace didn't come easy. There were still arguments, still greedy leaders, still shadows. But something had changed. The galaxy had seen what humans could do not with fire, but with hope. Children from many species began learning about Earth's history. Young Varellan studied human courage. Storm poets wrote songs about Ronan's final speech before the battle, and many named their ships after the Unity Wind. Humanity was no longer seen as the newcomers. They were seen as protectors, as bridge builders, as friends. One day, Alira and Ronan returned to Earth. They stood on a quiet hill beneath real clouds, real wind, and a blue sky. No stars, just peace. Alira looked up. This is where you were born. Yes, Ronan said. And where I first looked at the stars and wondered what was out there, she smiled. And now that you know, he took her hand. Now I know what's worth protecting. They stood together as the wind moved through the grass. No crowds, no cameras. Just two people who had helped save the galaxy. Not with magic, not with force, but with truth, with choices. With love. In the end, the galaxy did not belong to kings or soldiers. It belonged to those who cared, to those who stood tall, even when they stood alone, to those who said, humanity doesn't kneel. And because of them, the stars belong to all.